Imagine standing almost alone in a world full of darkness. People around you laugh at truth. They reject the call of Allah. They follow their desires and ignore guidance. But in that lonely moment, one young believer chooses faith over fear. This is the beginning of the story of Prophet Lut Alaihis Salam, a story of courage, patience, and complete trust in Allah. Prophet Lut lived during the time of Prophet Ibrahim. His story begins close to the story of Ibrahim, one of the greatest prophets of Allah. The Quran tells us that when Ibrahim called his people to worship Allah alone, many of them rejected him. They did not want to leave the way of their fathers. They did not want to give up their idols. They did not want to listen to the message of truth. But Lut was different. When many people turned away, Lut believed. He accepted the message of Ibrahim. He understood that idols could not create, could not hear, could not answer, and could not guide. He knew that worship belongs only to Allah. This was not a small decision. Believing in truth, when most people reject, it takes strength. Standing with the prophet when society is against him takes courage. Lut showed this courage from the beginning. The Quran mentions that Lut believed in Ibrahim. This short statement carries a very deep meaning. It means Lut was not simply a person who listened from far away. He was a true believer. He recognized the message of Allah. He accepted it with his heart. He chose guidance when others chose blindness. At that time, faith was not only a private feeling. Faith meant action. Faith meant leaving falsehood. Faith meant moving away from people and places that fought against the truth. Prophet Ibrahim faced strong rejection from his people. They opposed him because he spoke clearly against idol worship. They did not want to hear that their beliefs were wrong. They did not want their power and traditions to be challenged. So Ibrahim decided to leave for the sake of Allah. This migration was not for wealth, comfort, or worldly success. It was a migration for faith. It was a journey away from false worship and toward a land where the message of Allah could continue. Lut joined this journey. This is one of the most beautiful lessons from the early life of Prophet Lut. He did not stay behind with the crowd. He did not choose safety over truth. He did not say, "I believe, but I will remain silent." Instead, he followed the path of faith. When a believer leaves something for Allah, the road may look difficult at first. There may be fear. There may be loneliness. There may be uncertainty. But Allah never abandons those who trust him. The journey of Ibrahim and Lut teaches us that true success is not always found where life is easy. Sometimes true success begins when a person walks away from falsehood. The Quran also tells us that Allah saved Ibrahim and Lut and guided them toward a blessed land. This blessed land is understood by many scholars to refer to the region of Greater Syria and surrounding areas, a land connected with many prophets and much divine guidance. This journey was not just a movement from one place to another. It was part of Allah's plan. Lut lived close to Prophet Ibrahim and learned from his example. He saw patience. He saw trust in Allah. He saw how a prophet calls people with wisdom and courage. He saw how truth remains strong, even when people reject it. This connection with Ibrahim was important in preparing Lut for his own mission. A person's early environment shapes his heart. When someone sits with righteous people, listens to truth, and watches patience in action, his own faith becomes stronger. Prophet Lut was close to one of the greatest examples of faith in human history. He saw Ibrahim's firmness. He saw his kindness. He saw his complete trust in Allah. This helped prepare Lut for the heavy responsibility that would later come to him. Allah later chose Lut as a prophet and sent him to a people who had fallen into serious corruption. But before we reach that part of the story, we need to understand this beginning. Lut's mission did not start with power, wealth, or a large number of followers. It started with belief. It started with standing beside truth. It started with migration for Allah. This beginning teaches us that the path of guidance often begins with one sincere decision. One person may say, "I choose Allah." One person may say, "I will not follow wrong, even if many people do." One person may say, "I will walk with the people of truth, even if the road is hard." That kind of decision can change a whole life. For English learners listening today, this story is also easy to understand in a personal way. Sometimes you may feel alone while trying to improve yourself. Maybe others do not understand your goals. Maybe people laugh at your effort. Maybe the road feels long. But the story of Prophet Lut reminds us that important journeys often begin quietly. They begin with patience, belief, and trust. Prophet Lut's early life was connected with sacrifice. He left behind the comfort of familiar places. He followed truth. He walked with Ibrahim. He moved toward a new future because his heart was attached to Allah. There is also another powerful lesson here. Being close to righteous people is a blessing. Lut's connection with Ibrahim shows the value of good company. Good company can strengthen faith. Good company can protect the heart. Good company can guide a person during difficult times. In life, people are influenced by those around them. If a person stays with people who love truth, patience, and obedience to Allah, his heart becomes stronger. But if a person stays with people who mock truth and follow corruption, his heart can become weak. Prophet Lut chose the company of faith. This was the beginning of his noble story. Later, Allah would send him to a people known for terrible sins and deep moral corruption. He would call them to fear Allah. He would warn them. He would speak with patience. He would face rejection, mockery, and threats. But before all of that, he was a believer who stood with Ibrahim. That is why part 1 of this biography is so important. It shows us the roots of Prophet Lut's strength. His strength came from faith. His strength came from trust in Allah. His strength came from choosing truth when others rejected it. The story of Prophet Lut is not only a story about a sinful nation. It is also a story about a brave prophet who remained firm. It is a story about moral courage. It is a story about guidance in a dark society. And it begins with one beautiful moment. Lut believed. As we end this first part, remember this lesson. Do not measure truth by the number of people who follow it. Do not measure success by comfort or popularity. Measure success by obedience to Allah. Prophet Lut's early life teaches us that even if the world around you chooses darkness, you can still choose light. In the next part, we will continue with Prophet Lut's mission to a corrupt society and how he called his people back to the path of Allah with patience, courage, and sincerity.